What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So a few weeks ago, I made a video for people who are at the mid game and people who are around 300 to 350 AP, the best grind spots for you. Now, I know there's been a lot of new players coming into the game recently. I think a lot of people said some other MMO was, going downhill, so they decided to try a BDO. So what we're going to be doing today is talking about this again, but for people who are newer and let's say 150 AP all the way up to 300. Now, this one, I thought about it and I was like, maybe I should start around 250 simply because that's where you should be, like when you finish seasons and you have full Pen to Vala gear and your gear looks something like this, around 250, maybe 240 if you haven't done your adventure journal the adventure journals. But either way, I wanted to talk about it for more newer players coming into the game as well. If you want to watch the 350 or 300 to 350 one, I'll leave a link in the description. You guys can check that one out. But anyway, with that said, yeah, so the way we're going to be doing this is going down into the optimal AP ascending, so going from lowest to highest, and we'll talk about it. So I think 150 as a good starting point is a solid one, just because I don't think it's particularly hard even for newer players to play through seasonals. It's like the tutorial of the game in a way. So yeah, number one, I would probably start with Polly's Forest around 140. This one will not only get your contribution points up really quickly, and also it's a pretty solid spot to level up quickly as well. Plus you're also gaining, Atanis elements and making progress towards your infinite potion pieces. And, I think that's a good starter spot to level up fast, skill points, and generally, getting a bunch of early game starting stuff. Now, there's a few more. One, we're going to be going down into Trader's Graveyard. I believe this one is a very solid spot down here, which is right here. Trader's Graveyard is also a very solid early beginner spot, simply because it's just really fast and there's no real mechanics. Waves just come to you, and it's I would say on the same level of Polly's, if not a little bit faster, but it is more out of the way, whereas Polly's is just an all-in-one good one. There's no real good loot there. It's just fast. So yeah, that's one thing. Next, we're going to be going down into, let's see, Blood Wolf Settlement at 180. So I think this spot is just generally good for silver, and the reason why is because one, this drops an infinite potion piece, which is for the health one, which is actually very good. But also, the loot table has a Cagdanac, which gives you an endgame item to create an endgame crystal, and these are actually fairly common. So the fact that these are something that you should save and you could turn it into an either endgame crystal and sell it or use it yourself, I would value these at around, so I believe the crystals are around 500 mil. Let me just show you what they are if I have any. So you can create these crystals, the Dark Red Fang Valor, or I believe there's one for armor, and these are around 500 mil. And the crafting cost is one black magic crystal, which is, very cheap of itself. And so all you need is the Cagdanac, and that's where this comes in. So this is about a 500 mil drop minus silver tax and everything, but either way, for 180 spot, this is very good. Also, infinite potion piece. You do get a bunch of Blackstone bundles, like they do add up eventually. So yeah, one of the very good early game spots to make silver. So as long as you get these and then make them into a crystal and use it or sell it, that's a good one. Now, Centaurs, this one I still believe is good. It's just that the reason why people don't talk about it too much these days is because people are getting way past 180 AP really quickly with the amount of free pen black stars people are getting and the free materials that they give to catch up. So this is one of those spots where it's, very solid. If you're using Agris along with it, the loot multiplies at a scale that is a lot higher than the other ones. So yeah, Centaurs is a very good early game spot for silver, and you know, everything else as well if you're using Agris. But the reason why it's just not as good is because people are blown past 200, and so it's just like, oh, there's no need to be here anymore. But if you're one of those people that don't play as much, I do think this is a solid spot as well. Next, Shuriken Necropolis. Now, this one, the reason why I would consider this one good is because it has an infinite potion piece over here, the ancient one. And also, like, all the enemies are in a condensed area for the grind spot, to the point where, like, you can get more trash loot generally because everything is so close by compared to other ones where you're going from point A to B, which is a far distance. Everything is just like point A, B, C is like all there connected. And with Agris, I believe the spot is a very decent spot. Once again, trash loot kind of multiplies like higher than the others, kind of like Centaurs. So it's definitely one worth grinding, especially because it drops a lot of Capra stones. The accessories, the Orkinrad belt and everything, they drop at a higher rate than usual. That's from my testing. And so yeah, like these do add up. Back when these were about like 7 mil each, they were kind of bad, but now that they're in their 40s now, at least here on NA, it adds up. It's pretty good. Plus the amount of trash loot. So this is one of the low-key spots that I think are decently good now. Miramok is more for XP these days than silver, but it's one of those things where, you know, you could do it solo, but it used to be good back in the day. It's kind of gotten taken over by other spots, and yeah. Okay, so all of these other spots are just infinite potion pieces, like for Forest Renaros. For this one, for the health one, about 1 bill an hour if you are selling all the Forest Furies, Capris, and all the other loot you're getting. Renaros rings, once again, these are going up in price. Don't really know why, but they're higher than usual, so this is what makes it good in general. Monchums, Narc earring accessories, the earrings. Back when they were less than 10 mil, it was bad, but for some reason they went up to 70 again, which is what makes them good. And yeah, so you get a bunch of other stuff. Infinite mana potion piece. The Forest Furies aren't common here, but you do get a bunch of Capris and a lot of the other stuff, so I think it's actually good just because the accessory rate is up. Same with Forest Renaros. Okay, so we are going into the upper 200s, and I've talked about these spots before. So the way it works is, the reason why these spots are good is because you are getting the shards and you're using it to craft the cups to put into your accessories. So this spot is good, but it's a long-term spot, because when you get these, you're crafting the cups and then selling it. That's where the big profit comes in. Whereas if you're just selling these to grind the shards and then sell it, it's a little bit less, because you know, it just feels kind of different. So like you're totaling all the silver from like collecting it for, let's say, I don't know, 10 hours of grinding to get like 100 of them, or 50, whatever, and then turning it in. So the overall long-term grind will be where the silver comes in, which I think is what's good. Plus you get a bunch of sealed black magic crystals. If you're on NA, this is literally an NA only problem that they're sold out. But yeah, same with this one. Brigadi Den has the highest drop rate for the yellow shards across the board compared to all the other spots, and that's about it. So if you want yellow shards in particular, going for the cup grind, then that's where you're gonna have to get it. Okay, so Castle Ruins is a group spot. Would probably not recommend it. History of Ruins. Now, okay, so this spot is probably the #1 spot I have the most hours in this game. I spent about 500 hours going for the compass back in the day before Elvia, or not Elvia, the Dekia version was out multiple years ago. So I actually know the spot, like literally every single rotation. and going for the Elton piece is probably one of the things that people are going to go for in the future. So Histria, with the price of accessories going slightly up, it's not the lowest I've ever seen. I would say, you know, probably about 1 bill an hour, and you could get the paints from there as well, because going for the Elton piece was not a fun grind, but it's not like, it was actually kind of chill, but it's not fun in a way. So around 1 bill an hour, around 230 AP, and you're really just going for the compass piece, the Elton one in particular. Okay, Kratuga, Ancient Ruins. This one, it drops all the artifacts, and I've made this example before. So for example, let's say you were grinding for something in particular, right? Let's say you want a, you know, targeted one in accuracy. If you grind other spots that drop these have a lower rate, so you're getting one accessory every, what, like couple hours? Whereas in Kratuga, you're getting some sort of artifact every like 15 minutes. So overall, like, even though there's a higher pool of it, there's a higher chance of you getting what you want in the long term, just because you get all of these. And even if you have multiples, duplicates, you just simple alchemy it and turn it into those lightstone thingies, and then you could either sell those or, you know, use them for various crafts. So either way, it's not like, even if you're getting them and it's not the right one, you're still making a bunch of silver, like 30 mil per, like every 15 minutes. So yeah, just grinding this spot for going for artifacts as a beginner player is always solid. You get the rare drop for Tungrat earrings and, you know, Laytons if you want it as well. Sealed black magic crystals drop at it's not a high rate, but it's a solid rate for this AP level. Bunch of Capris and everything. So one of those actually decent solid places. But let me tell you, Kratuga is one of those things where you have to go out of your way. You're going to the Hazar Cliff, and then there's a cave, right? And then you follow the wall in the cave, and then you'll see like a hidden prompt is like, here, do you want to enter this area? And that's how you do it. It's hard to find the first time, but once you know what you're looking for, it's not too bad. Same with Swamp Fogans and Nagas. You're going for the shards to craft the cups, and then, you know, roughly 1 to 2 bill an hour. And then once you craft a cup, that's where the big profit comes in. So solid spots overall, but then you get the big jackpot once you create everything. Bumbling Buccaneers. This is the new spot they came out with when Olvia Academy first came out, like with the release. It's kind of like Kratuga Ancient Ruins, but it's out in the middle of like the open, and it's not like a hidden spot. So it's down here, and the Bumbling Buccaneers is just right outside Olvia and the Academy. So a lot of newer players ask me, and they're like, I can't do this. This is too hard for early game. And I looked at the spot, and then, you know, it says how it's like 250 AP, right? And people are meeting that with the seasonals. You kind of have to have a few, you have to have some crystals along with it that are not just like random ones. So even if you're 250, I do believe this spot is a little bit harder than it may seem, like 250, 320. You kind of probably have to have monster AP crystals and everything. That goes above it. So if you're around 800 to 825 effective, you're doing fine. If you're around like 750, you're probably going to be slower at it, but it's doable. So just let me know if you need help with that. Just tell me what your effective AP is around here, and then we'll go from there. I could recommend some beginner crystals and everything. But aside from that, this one and Kratuga, essentially the same thing. I believe this one is probably a little bit better in loot, just because the claw pieces actually do sell, and these are a lot. So functionally, these are the same, but you're probably making a little bit more. But this one is a little bit easier in terms of AP scaling. This one's a little bit harder, but has a few more items into the loot pool. Sonals. This one is low-key good. A lot of people kind of overlook this spot, but it's actually solid because Crystallized Despairs drop at a pretty good rate. Distos you get like maybe 1 or 2 an hour, which is another 200 to your loot total. I don't know how low the drop rate is, but there's always that jackpot of free 10 bill. But I think on average you're probably making at least 2 bill an hour, just because crystallized affairs drop at a higher pace. Same with Capra stones, and then all the other boss spawns, like the mini bosses that spawn around here with all these stuff as well. So yeah, I think this is a very underrated spot. People kind of overlook it, but I think it's very good. Paddocks Island. Most people are here for the rich merchant ring piece. I remember last year I was there too. But the reason why this spot is good is because ocean haze rings and ethereal rings are like at an all-time high right now. And that's actually really weird, because when I was grinding there, these were like 40 mil each. Now they're 250. These drop at a very high rate. So like the max I've gotten in 1 hour was like 9 of accessories total. That's like 2 bill off of that, plus the loot from everything else. So I think this is one of those spots that are very good right now based on the prices, but also you're going there for the rich merchant ring, which is a very solid thing to go for long term. It took me about like 120-ish hours to get this one. But yeah, let me say though, this is kind of one of those annoying spots to get to. Paddocks is over here. If you have a tier 10 horse that could run on water, it's faster to do that than going by boat. What you would do is go from Olvia down to the coast and this island hop until you get here. But if you have a boat, obviously that's another option. And yeah, one of those things. So Paddocks, actually a lot of silver, but low key because you have to get there. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Around a 250, this is a very good spot. And also you get a chance for the merchant ring piece, because that one's a kind of annoying one to get. So for some reason these are at an all-time high. Just make sure to take advantage of that. Okay, so going down into newer spots. Ore Camp for the red shards. You know how we talked about the yellow and blue one? This one is the best spot for everyone who's going for the red ones. This is not a fun spot, but it's a very consistent spot, because there's no like jackpot items here, but everything you get, you sell directly to the vendor and just get straight silver. So it's very consistent, but there's nothing really fun and thrilling about it. But it's a consistent like 1.5 billion silver, or like 1 billion to 1.5, depending on obviously drops and everything. So yeah, I think this one is a very solid spot for a 260 range. And just know that you're going in, you're going to make silver, but it's not the most thrilling one. Whereas this one, like any spots with accessories, or, you know, a mechanic with the crimson bells, these are always solid. I personally like Bloody Monastery over the other yellow spots, just because of the thrill of the crimson bell. Basically you summon them and then you get waves of enemies coming towards you, and then those drop more trash loot. So this is more of a silver spot. The other one is more of a yellow shard spot. And I just think, you know, getting necklaces and the cheers and everything always cool. So this one's low-key good. I think it's competitive with Ore Camp by, yeah, well, about 90% as good as Ore Camp with the same amount of AP. But these are all also yellow, and this one is red, so it really just depends. Okay, going into Honglim Base. This spot has been, you know, tweaked multiple times. I think in its current state, it's a very solid spot, and that's about it. So if you're going for any of the crystals, I believe you could get like 3 to 5 an hour on average. Obviously, you can get more or less, but I think average hours you're getting 3 to 5. Yeah, that's about it. So a bunch of crystals. You're going into the mid game now, and you're gonna have to start thinking about all the crystals. And if you don't need it now, you will when you get to Karazhan gear. So these are what these are for. Jade Starlight Forest. This one is a good spot now, just because iridescents are over 4 billion silver. That's kind of insane. I remember when these were under 1 billion each, and now people are like, "Oh, I want to try life skilling." Now they're 4 billion each. So let me show you. Every life skill and some grinding ones, you see how I have an iridescent here? And then for like various grind spots, here's the difference. Almost every life skill best in slot, artifacts and lightstone combo that I use has an iridescent. That's why they're expensive. Because everyone needs them. So yeah, if you don't need them, plus 4 billion, they actually drop at a solid rate. You know, surprisingly, it's not that bad to get them. So it's like a free hour of grinding when you're doing something else. So like Jade Forest, you're kind of here for the flame to upgrade your Labresca helmet, but this is the jackpot item, and the trash loot scaled with Agris is very solid, kind of like Centaurs that we talked about earlier. And then Shuriken, this one multiplies at a high rate. So one of those spots that really just depends on the iridescent lightstone. Right now it's at an all-time high, which makes the spot very good. And yeah, if you get one, you're competing with really endgame spots making 4 bill an hour. And I believe these drop once every maybe like 5 to 10-ish hours, so pretty commonly if you're grinding here for something else. And so for a 270 spot, you know, hitting that jackpot at a higher rate is actually very solid, and I would recommend it. So yeah, I'm not sure why this is up to 4 billion, but it is here on NA, so take advantage of that while it's still there. Primal Giants. Now, this one is kind of like Sonal's, but, you know, slightly, you know, like different in a way, different grind spot, but you're getting crystallized despairs, trash loot from the bosses and everything. It's kind of, you know, marginally better than Sonal's, but essentially you're going for the same thing. You make most of your silver from crystallized despairs, Capris, and then Distos with the same jackpot of a 10 bill fragment. Gyphon Under is about 1 bill an hour, but this is probably in the top 3 for best XP grind spots in the game. So if you're trying to push level 66 or something, then this is probably where you want to be. So yeah, just an overall solid spot, easy mechanics of matching colors, and that's about it. So 300 AP. Piliku is terrible. Sulfur, you're going for the... These are all treasure item pieces, by the way. So like this one, Piliku and Sulfur, they make the Archaeologist map. Archaeologist map is actually the easiest treasure item to get, in my opinion, of the usable ones. Like this one, Arc map, and then there's a Telescope and Compass. I think the map is probably the easiest overall, which, you know, take that at whatever information you want. But either way, Piliku is terrible. Sulfur is, you know, slightly better. Dekia Histria is actually not too bad, believe it or not. And then this is the shiny Elton that we want. Ackman, not so great, but Histria Dekia is pretty solid. And then Hex Sanctuary, very solid. This is the best spot for crystallized despairs and, you know, like Sonals and then Giants, but this one's just better than the other one at the higher AP level. Ash Forest, Crypt of Resting Thoughts, treasure item piece, another treasure item piece. Decent spot. Upper Sakraya is the newer one, and, you know, once again, another treasure piece, which we probably talked about all 5 of them at this point. And yeah, so solid, decent, very good, and that's about it in the 300s. So with that said, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you're a newer player and you still need help, join the Discord or leave it in the comments, ask a question. Happy to point you guys in the right direction. And with that said, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button once again. And I talk about a lot of the new content and new events coming out in this game. So yeah, generally, if you want to keep up to date with whatever is happening in BDO, I usually have a video of it the first few days it comes out. So anyway, see you guys later. Peace.